Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on September 28th, 2015. And, you know, this Raw had a lot more downs than it did ups. And I'll talk about the downs, about the downs a little bit here. There was some stuff that was fairly entertaining. In a way, I liked, but I almost don't see the point with the way they booked the Big Show over the years. That's like, okay, he's been booked in so many different ways. It's like this giant that continually gets beat, or someone finds a way to beat him. Someone always finds a way to beat him, and now he's like this unstoppable force because now he has to face Brock Lesnar at the MSG show, which they're doing a great job trying to promote it. But honestly, they aren't. Like, Big Show at this point in his career has kind of been like, we'll book you as a monster whenever we really feel like it. Otherwise, you're kind of like this stumbling giant going around and just putting people over. And that's what he's really been doing. So, again, this week they put him over strong against Mark Henry. He cuts a pretty decent promo later on in the show with Paul Heyman, and Heyman played it off really well too, like he's actually scared of or scared for Brock Lesnar because of the Big Show. But you don't really get a full sense of believability that they're gonna put Big Show over in any way. They're just trying to build him up as like this big monster, and then Brock Lesnar is going to come in and destroy him or something in that sense. So that's where I feel like they're going with that. Obviously, you don't necessarily know. Other areas that, they had a semblance of being good throughout the entire night, but really, honestly, they were very, very hokey in the end. Kane's bit with Seth Rollins. Honestly, the backstage promos were actually pretty good with the person who was playing the HR director and with Kane and Triple H and Stephanie and Seth Rollins. Those segments came off pretty good. It was the in-ring segment later on in the show where they says like, oh, Kane is sound of mind, and if there's anyone who needs to be reevaluated, it's Seth Rollins because he's been unprofessional and everything like that. That's where it kind of becomes kind of hokey with what they're going with. You go with this aspect that, Seth Rollins looks like he's putting Kane in the hospital, breaking his ankle again and everything like that, and then they cut to the ambulance leaving, obviously stops beforehand, and cuts back to Seth Rollins. When it cuts back, it's like all red inside the ambulance, and the Demon Kane comes out. And that's where it just kind of gets all hokey. I mean, I like the aspect in the terms of, because I like B horror movies in a way. I do actually like those. They're fun to watch, and if you suspend your disbelief and everything, they're kind of fun. And you kind of got that with this one. So you have Kane like still selling the leg injury, and then all out of nowhere, it just does one of those like horror movie monster things, and snaps it back into place and starts walking normally again. It was one of those B horror movie moments, and in a way, for that aspect, I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. But towards the more casual fan, or the fan that wants more realism and everything like that, that segment was just stupid in the end. I mean, it does its job to try to build that Kane's the next opponent for Seth Rollins in this case. So I mean, they did a decent job inside there, but in the end, not too much with it really occurred. Another area that kind of had some good with it, but also had some bad with it as well, was the whole. They brought back the U.S. Open Challenge with John Cena, and they brought it, and in the end, they brought out New Day. You got the basic promo from Cena in that case, what they had always done with the U.S. Open Challenge, and it brought out the entire New Day, which eventually, after their promo, which was fairly entertaining and fairly funny, had Xavier Woods go up against John Cena. And I like the aspect that they played, that they didn't really waste too much time kicking the New Day out in the match itself. and leaving it to be just a one-on-one section, and let Xavier Woods kind of show what he can do. He showed off some pretty good stuff. He's not too bad in the ring. The match was pretty good in the end, but leading into the New Day interrupting, and eventually the Dudleys coming out, it's like, and now we have the obligatory SmackDown 6-man tag match. Good. Great. Okay. Not a bad match between them, and honestly lets them get one over on the Dudley Boys at this point in time, because not that they necessarily needed it. Well, they kind of needed a pin against the Dudleys to kind of solidify something more, because Rusev actually got a pin over Dolph Ziggler in that 6-man tag the week before, so they kind of needed it in that case. So not horrible, but again, you kind of just got one of those, oh, it's a DQ finish, and now we got another 6-man tag match. Woo! Great. So, yeah, in the end, it had semblance of being good in it, but also ended up being not so great in the end as well. The Miz TV segment with Paige and Becky Lynch and the Bellas and Charlotte. Actually, the stuff with Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and the Miz was actually pretty good. Not gonna lie, their promo against Miz and everything like that, and her trying to call out Paige and everything was pretty good. The Bellas, obviously, you knew where they were gonna go, that they would have to be interjected in there in some way, shape, or form, though they really didn't need to be at this point. They could have let the whole aspect between the former team members who team up this week. Again, that's great logic. It's like, oh, the whole common enemy thing. You know where that's going to lead. That's going to lead to them eventually breaking off in the middle of the match, and which it did, and everything in that aspect, to try to make Nikki Bella look a little bit stronger, probably going into her rematch at some point in time, probably at the next pay-per-view. But in the end, did not necessarily fully do what it needed to. Again, another area that had some good stuff in it, but was relatively bad in the end. Well, yeah, not just because of the aspect of Nikki Bella winning a match. That's fine, whatever. You need something like that to build stories in the end, having her win matches. But I mean, the whole aspect is like, well, these people were fighting last week, and now they're teaming up. Okay. I guess we're going there with this. Now, there's a few areas that I actually did find fun about the show. Though this one that I'm talking about also has some semblance about it, because I'm not too big of a particular fan of the storyline, which had Rusev and Ziggler and the whole Summer Rae Lana thing. The match with Kevin Owens and Rusev. I like their setup. It's like, okay, Kevin Owens has walked out how many times on Rusev now? Now Rusev wants a match, and then of course you have Ryback out there because Ryback's feuding with Kevin Owens. So they did it the week before, and now they're going to do it again this week, but they reverse roles where Kevin Owens has a match and Ryback's on commentary. Okay, that's fine in there. And they end the match rather quickly by having Rusev just get thrown into Ryback, and then they all start brawling, which eventually brings out Dolph Ziggler or everything like that. It just turned into like a little cluster of everything to set up more than likely a tag match on SmackDown. Guess what? More tag matches with random people. So, yay, again on that one. So it had some semblance of good, because I like the consistency of the whole aspect that they set up a match with Rusev and Dolph Ziggler. Or not Rusev and Dolph Ziggler, but Rusev and Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens have been walking out of matches with Rusev. So they're kind of maybe slowly turning Rusev face. Maybe. Honestly, in his entire deal with Dolph Ziggler, he's been a face. He really has. So why not make him actually a baby face in some way, shape, or form? Somewhere down the line. We'll see where they go with that. What was the other area I wanted to talk about before the whole main event? I'm forgetting that one right now. Because oh yeah, I wanted to talk about Neville and Stardust. You had this continuing feud with Neville and Stardust, and they were setting up another one-on-one match and everything like that, which eventually mid-match, when it looked like Neville was going to win, brought back King Barrett. And, initially, I thought they were going to go the wrong route with this. But in the end, they went the right route. Because Neville, he was out obviously going after Neville. He's had a feud with Neville in the past, so okay, he goes after Neville, knocks him out and everything. But in the end, he also goes after Stardust for attacking him after SummerSlam and everything like that. So I actually liked where they went with that. I don't know whether they're going to be truly going with it down the line, where is King Barrett going to be going after both guys, or is he kind of this tweener in between who's just going to beat up everybody? So we'll see where they go with everything. But I definitely liked where they went with it this week. Now it's just a matter of where do they go with it, because they could have played it off as like, oh, I'm just going after Neville, and now I'm teaming up with Stardust again. It was like, well, didn't Stardust attack you? And so at least they had him go after Stardust in some way, shape, or form. So that was at least a little bit consistent with something in the terms of everything. Now this brings me into what was the main focus around the night, and you had, of course, multiple segments about it and throughout the entire show, and that was the whole Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt situation. And I liked what they were doing throughout the entire show. I liked the promo with Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Randy Orton backstage. Kind of the whole aspect that all three of these guys want to go alone, but yet they got to go up against the Wyatt family in some way. So they kind of need each other, but they're not going to be teaming with each other in any way. And then you have Bray saying, "It's like, I'm going to fight by myself," which made it look like he wasn't going to initially when he came out, which led into the match, because they did he called everybody back to just make it the whole aspect of these two were going to brawl, and they were going to put on a big physical match. And that's what they did. They put on what I felt was a great match for a Monday Night Raw, and just a great segment in the end. I'm not even angry with the whole double count-out thing, because you figure the feud's going to go on in some way, so you can't necessarily have a full-on winner. But the spots that they did at the end of the night with the barricade, and then it's like Bray standing on the announce table for an extended period of time, thinking that he had won, and like Roman Reigns just spears them, and they both kind of collapse there on the table in the end. Was a really good way of going off Raw. I felt they did a really good job with these segments. It was the one portion of Raw that didn't seem to necessarily fail in some way. Everything kind of worked with all of them working together. So they did a really good job in there. And they even got the quick mention with Chris Jericho in there, because like Dean Ambrose in the first segment was like, well, after what happened with Chris Jericho, I don't really want outsiders coming into this fight and everything like that. And that brought in Randy Orton. It's like, oh, so now I'm an outsider after you'd asked for my help type moment. So they did a good job there with that entire portion of the show. But overall, you had Monday Night Raw where you had hits in a segment, but you also had massive misses along with it. It just, like, there were portions of segments that were like, hey, this can be entertaining, and then they just like off to the side. Or not maybe off to the side, but just like, and now I'm not interested anymore moments. So, I mean, overall, hit and miss show. The only thing that I felt that did, or the only couple things I felt did a really good job was the whole King Barrett coming back and going after both Neville and Stardust in this case, and the whole Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt setup for the main event throughout the night. Those segments with Randy Orton and Dean Ambrose, and then Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Braun Strowman. I felt they did a really good job in there. I mean, you had a couple throwaway matches with Strowman and Harper going up against the primetime players, which I wish they wouldn't do that with the primetime players in this case, but they're building Strowman and Luke Harper as massive threats, so they put them in there with an established tag team, and that's how that's gonna go, and that's how that went through the night. And then, of course, Randy Orton just went up with Bo Dallas and just won. He just won in that case. So oh well in there. So like I said, for the most part, you got a hit and miss night with the segments. of the show and a lot of the storylines. I liked the stuff they did with Bray and Roman Reigns throughout the entire night. I thought they did good there. I liked the stuff with King Barrett. And there was a few other things that I liked, but also throughout those same segments you can knock something that they did as well. So that is my review for Monday Night Raw this week, and I thank you guys for watching.